Alright, and we are back here with our base for the Messerschmitt, and while this is still sort of not quite dry, getting close to getting dry, I decided to get out some pigments and just start working them in between the cracks like dirt and grime and grit. And I've got some oil stains kind of started here around, so I just thought I'd show you how that's coming halfway through, and you can kind of see the difference. And I've just sort of mocked up I got my barrels, I got my pilot guy here ready to go. So yeah, these are going to be repainted. I figure these two guys setting up the rope and these two guys pushing, I think should be good. And my two barrels, I can start getting a coat of paint on these. And now I can take you off, set you over to the side. And yeah, you can really see the difference there where it's matted right down, getting nice dirty and grimy and muddy like it would, I'm pretty sure. So I'm going to carry on with that, and that is just applying it with a very buggered up brush. This is the brush that I use for my pigment stuff that I've been doing so far. And yeah, I'm just sort of dusting it on there and just moving it around. So I'm using a dark brown pigment, which is a pure pigment, umber, raw umber, and the other is a light grout. It's like a sandstone, I guess, sort of color. And yeah, I've been just sort of working between the two, just getting sort of different shades here and there, and just, you know, just sort of working it. Try to keep it as random as possible in different spots as I weather it, because I don't want it to look like, you know, patterned out or anything. And then yeah, I'm just basically picking up some and just basically working it, especially into these gaps. I want to sort of get those almost filled up like they'd be filled with soil. And I'm just liberally laying it on there and working it together with this sandstone to get sort of light and, you know, dark patches inside the pattern of the wood. And then I can still bring out the grain of the wood if I want, because the stain underneath is oil and it's not quite dry, so I can still work and rub and sort of reveal the grain underneath of the wood. So it's not, you can kind of see that it's not just painted brown, but that there's actually years of dirt and oil and boots and planes and hearts and stuff going on top of it. And there's that little bit of oil stain. I'll sort of blend that in a bit there. I just used a black panel liner for the oil stains, the accent panel wash for those, and they wash out. And I tried a couple little weeds, and I got some rings here from where the barrels are going to sit. And I think we're starting to get kind of a cool effect. So I don't know, I've done anything this before. Now I did have a couple figures set up with my pibber boat. That's always kind of adding to that as I look at it on my shelf. And but this little one here, once I get these guys painted and standing around, this will be my first fully completed little story diorama where it kind of, you know, sets you up for a little bit of a story behind the model. And yeah, I'm pretty happy about that. Nice to get a milestone done. I really like the dioramas. I've worked on different elements and putting things together, but I have yet to really finish one right out. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Just going to tap the bulk of that excess off and just start working this in and out so I can see the wood underneath. Get a nice weathered dusty, dirty, oily boards with mud clumped on them, stuck in between. I think that the more that I rub away on it, work away on it with this brush, you can see how the grain starts to sort of come back. I start to get that darkness of the stain and less of the dusty of the dirt, but then I can keep as much as I do want behind and start to get a nice weathered effect. So this, I think I can use this sort of type of thing. There's a couple buildings that I want to build. I think I want to cut these down though in half. I probably should have half of these just in scale, because obviously at 172 scale these boards are pushing 18 inches, you know, a couple feet wide, so if not more. So, but I mean, you know, I'm a model student, so that's how you learn. But I think as far as effect wise, I'm kind of liking how this is looking very worn. It's looking oily over here where they were working on the plane. This side I made a little bit drier and working some sort of maybe light colored markings, sort of indicative of a runway. Kind of thing. Some of the highlights inside. Just dust that in lightly. So it's kind of getting me a pretty good little effect to set our plane on. I think I want them pulling it maybe around this way. Set our plane on here about like that. Yeah, so it's going to be pulled around that way onto the runway. Right. So, let's set our little stand there and get a feel for it. And I guess I will be able to pop this right in there. I guess I can glue it. And this little guy, get this rope going in his hand. Get this down on the ground. Get that hooked up on the landing gear. Yep. There he is, calling out. Get that baby pulled around. Okay. I'll get some paints picked out in the wet palette and start painting these figures and these barrels. And I don't think I'm going to use the tent. I think it crams it up too much, so I think I'll just leave the barrels and the 4 guys. 3 guys pushing. Oh, I guess this guy tying a rope too. So what do I got? A crew of 4? Oh, this guy tying a rope maybe down here somewhere. He's got a couple of rocket bombs in his hand, but I'm pretty sure I can hide that with him and have him sitting there doing that while the other guys are pushing. Alright. Okay, well when we come back, we'll be painting some figures and getting those set into place. Until then,